I already watched that last night, but hitting it again here. Um, I do like the mechanical metrics myself. It's here, it's a daisy pattern thing, but you can just barely see it. It's right here, it's right here, and it's right here. It's a weird thing in the quantum mechanics about not being able to observe it in three-dimensional spaces. You're multiplying matrices here, or specific algebraic sequences, because I need them all. I need what it is as just a compounding of itself. You can't measure something unless there's something to compare it against, but you have to define it as itself. And in this case, we use 0, but it's impossible to do it here. When we're talking about certain segments here of what this represents, this little wiggle on the barrel of what it does of the tube and those topologies, well, I'm sure you've probably seen it before once I start giving you the references. But marshmallow, and I'd look at you, officer, and I'd be like, look, inside of here, I would love to know how to program the Julia to get it up here. I mean, I can program words like this, and this is how I generally write out my structures in anyways, about what it does, but they're not computer based, so I have to redo the structure every single time physically, like bones. And so I don't necessarily have the skills to be able to put this straight line in there correctly because of the internet hunting it takes without somebody to teach you how to run the fire hose, or what it would be to watch an officer in a squad car just by watching their POVs and then kind of testing them out of that to determine which one it does. So by me watching that, how do I determine a test of the tallywhacker, or like just by inverted square, there's that superposition? Did I watch correctly? Am I some dicking around kid on the throw of measurements on that differential about whether it'll be this or that? Or, obviously some, ex-Marine came into the place on a contract who's the only thing really could step into there like that and change some metrics in a significant way where somebody doesn't get lost in the Klein bottle. But that would be the point. I mean, this guy, Richard here, he's so far advanced in terms of being able to program this that he doesn't even need proofs. He doesn't need star, black hole, quasi-star as a differential for what these little spinners may represent on the clock. Here in the topology, there's something to define the difference, right? But it's all in one program. I could do it all from the same operating system, that this would be the sunshine and this would be the black hole, or this one could be referencing a quasi-star while this one references ton 618, or 618, something like that. The world's second largest, I think it's Phoenix A, actually. But even at that level, you might see the lensing aspect where, okay, black hole, and then that's that and this. But down there on the street, the mathematics between what it is in the field of me having my own foundation that allows me to properly orientate how that's orientated around here. Sure, well, if it's a string and it doesn't go around a bottle, I mean, what topology really does, except for this stone mill floor about which way to do what that is doing, because it's both the copper wire, it's an electron, it's the program, it's me utilizing that program. If we're doing our pawns and kings, and king prime, pawn, my pawn, white pawn, prime, or no, regular prime, and then prime is the lowercase in this index, so it's relative to that, because it's like head pawn gonna advance. So at any rate, well, that's in some floor. And I'm a dick out here. This is what I do. I'm a bulldozer, because that's those sites that I do. You got to pick rock like that, throw it in the bucket, because otherwise you get your shit kicked in some way, which way or the other, about not working, Jesus. I don't care, Pontius. Today's standards are just a little different about what that is, but they don't really like you doing the carbon capture technology this way. I don't give a fuck, personally, honestly. I think if that's the things that break your bone, it should. That's where they need to be over their years of advancement inside of here to the mass gap, because I burned it out. Especially if you're leaving these types of mass gaps. Here we have two types of topology. This one's very different. Me just walking around town about anybody in CERN for what it is strapped into this, and I was using my tallywhacker system up here for a mallow review with all my books about walking into the building, go to your corner. That's that type of topology when you have an outside Wagner's Wiggles and a full Paris Island report on what that does. And again, the optics Just gonna do what they do when you get into town. Something to think about. You know, I want to make sure you guys are understand. My chess game is the first piece of what that is when I'm talking about what that does. But I understand from the CAD perspective of the maps. I mean, most of that we could do with Google, but you want specific printout that's all uniform, that could be a defined structure that works in California, and that's just not practical. You know, there's obviously an I hat and J hat, and most people don't understand what it is. And I mean, if you're not, you're going to be considered crazy over here for being so violent about what the day-night, summer-winter cycle is on the softmax comparatively to the day's DMAs and FOMC. Yeah, that's pretty violent. They get in there and do some crazy stuff at 9:30 in the morning. It is. Did you see the CPI report from the other day about, well, it's unchanged? I mean, was that the hike or the cut on what it does? And I would love to see somebody try. Just, you know, I watch enough Peacock every single day to understand that their heart rate gets up. They start to tweak. Their isomatic gets going. They laugh when they cry, or they cry when they should laugh. And it's an interesting, fun little thing.